Greetings, everyone. So tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about narcissism and FOG, F-O-G, or narcissists. So what FOG is fear, obligation, and guilt. So this is one method that they use to control you. Well, I mean, technically it's 3 in 1, but it usually goes hand in hand. Honestly, I don't remember where I heard it from. It could have been Michelle Nieves, but it really rang a bell for me. And obviously, when you think about the last 3 or 4 years throughout the world, where, people in higher status, more wealthy people were trying to scare the living shit out of everyone. And really, like all of the scary events in our world, surely it's narcissism, but it goes deeper than that. But narcissism just love to use this fog. So they want to terrify you. They want to keep you walking on eggshells. I've had in my life a few times been close to death because of these people. But I'm a warrior-S. So it wasn't going to work. But really, I'm going to talk about fear. That's the first one I'm going to talk about. So they got to keep you like on your toes. They have to keep you afraid. And honestly, a lot of children go through this with abusive parents that are screaming at them all the time. I myself had a screaming father, but as time went on, he got better. So I guess his narcissism was just like, not really severe. But, you know what? I was just thinking. I was trying to think of examples before I got on here. Workplaces love to scare you. So I'm thinking about, there's a few jobs I could talk about the fear. But how many times I had a very interesting experience at one of my jobs where I was working with veterans. I thought I finally hit the big time. I got the big job with the big salary, and it was really working in hell. It literally was working in hell, and it was called the snake pit of the United States. So, always make you afraid. Your performance review's coming up, just so you know. And like that was actually when I was going through that thing, I was just really starting to learn about narcissism. So I was just like looking at him like, and motherfucker. I got to be a certain age and where I was just, and this was even before I knew what narcissism was, but I got to be a certain age and I was just like, when it came to jobs or anyone really, the minute that they would start to abuse me or try to be disrespectful or rude or not value my time or whatever it is, I didn't care. I would just stand up for myself, and that's when I started getting fired. And I'm glad I wear it with, as what do you call it? Like an honor. But let's see, like workplaces, they just want you to be like some of them, the more abusive, narcissistic type workplaces. Your performance review is coming. And I found out later that, there was this really, really interesting guy I was listening to on YouTube that talked about workplace bullying. He was really good. He was a healthy guy, though, so I don't even know if he's still around. But it's very, very routine for workplaces to fire you on a Friday, which I didn't know, because I honestly hadn't been fired that many times. But I got a certain age, and then that's when it started to happen. But the fear, right? So you always have to be afraid. I had another experience at my very last job where, and I actually was doing a very good job. I got good performance reviews and everything from my higher up boss. And we're all veterans, but a lot of fake veterans that I was working with. Any real veteran will know what I'm talking about. But this guy that I was working with, he technically wasn't a manager, but the whole company allowed him, because they were mostly National Guard, they allowed him, the higher ups allowed him to walk around and act like a manager, but he never got the manager title. It was weird. But he was extremely narcissistic. Man, I've never been so happy to be out of a workplace than when they fired me there. And that was because I wouldn't take what do you call it? Like I can't think of my words. Not researched medical procedure that was not, anyways, I didn't do it. So me and my good guy friend got fired, which is great. But back to the whole fear thing. So I had this interaction with this guy. And by then I had been studying narcissism for a long time, so I knew exactly what this little jerk was doing. And I wouldn't take his bait. Like, I'd been working in nonprofit social work for at least 12, 15 years. And he kept trying to talk down to me like I was a moron. Like I didn't know how to do this, I didn't know how to do that. And I knew better. And so he just kept saying, oh, you got to work on this, and you got to work on that. You got to work on this, you got to work on that. And I just wouldn't give him a reaction, which is called gray rocking. And this dude like flipped out on me. So that was the fear. That's also the narcissistic rage. But I wasn't giving in. And this dude, literally, this totally should have been a reason for him to get arrested and to lose his job. But you and I both know none of that happened, right? He literally got in my face. Now, I'm a woman. He's a man. He got within 6 inches of my face, spitting at me. You need to get this together and all this stuff. And I'm like, you guys, I was like going back to basic training. Do you guys remember when the drill sergeants were screaming at you? Anyone who was in the military remembers. And you don't let them see you sweat. So that happened to me. And it was all because all his fear tactics weren't working on me. So that was narcissistic rage. So, boy, I've got a lot of fear stories I could tell. But those are the ones that come to my mind. Hold on. I got to get some water. Just drank some tea. You'd think I never drank any water here. So, now the next one comes obligation. Man, you guys, I have fallen for this one too many times. But, you got to learn about it. And then once you learn it, you're like, okay, I see what's going on there. And there's so many different ways people that are more manipulative will try to make you obligated to them. I think back in the day before anyone was talking about narcissism, it would be that one friend or relative that if you did one little thing for them, or if they did one little thing for you, you were going to hear about it until all day long, every day. And you knew that when they did something for you, you were going to owe them. So I've had relatives that have done this to me. I've definitely had workplaces do this to me. People at workplaces Military, obviously. I mean, go figure. Not just the military, because that was a long time ago. But it's really sneaky. And you know, people that are really, really, really good at doing this, making you obligated to them, that you owe them, they come off really sweet and really nice. And then you being the empath or the kind-hearted person, you're like, wow, this is kind of nice. Because you're not used to people doing stuff for you. Well, I mean, at least I'm not. And you're like, you're kind of feeling like, wow, they got my back. And that's when you'll start getting the phone calls for favors. Hey, can you watch my dog Saturday night? Hey, Eyes to See, can you give me a ride to the thrift shop? Hey, Eyes to See, can you give me a ride to Burger King or whatever it is? Now, when I was younger, I used to always do that, and I think it's because my mother was very kind-hearted, so I learned to be a kind-hearted person that way. You know, but when you're kind-hearted and you're an empath, you're going to attract more narcissistic people that take advantage. It's just the way it is. Because kind-hearted people don't use other people. It's not that, like, I always like to compare, like, the healthy versus the narcissistic, toxic. You see, when a person has a heart and they really are caring, they don't use people. So that's where the divide is. But you better know that once they, let's just say, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, this is going to old-fashioned example. Let's say you got Aunt Edna, right? And you're in high school, and your family doesn't have a lot of money, and you want a prom dress. And mom and dad don't have a lot of money, so they don't have the money to really buy you anything nice. Well, Aunt Edna steps up to the plate. She buys you a prom dress. And believe me, everybody's going to know that Aunt Edna bought you that dress. But then, after prom is over and everything, you got the pictures and everything turned out nice. Then Aunt Edna starts asking you to give her rides places or whatever. Which, you know, and like I said, what I've been realizing is with toxic or narcissistic type people, it's a constant. So it's not like if a person asks you to do a favor for them, doesn't make them necessarily a bad person. But with a toxic or a narcissistic kind of person, it's constant. It never ends. And believe me, they will wear you out. So, obligation. And what I've realized too, I got a hip replacement a few years ago. Doing a lot better now. It was rough. Well, I've had a few surgeries, and that's okay. I'm doing fine now. But it gave me a lot of time to think, and I was realizing that, and really anybody who's considered a conspiracy theorist I'd have some fun talks with them, because obligation is 100% built into our systems, especially the legal system. And there's other people that know way more about our legal systems than I do. I know the basics. But you've got the law of the sea, you've got the law of the land, and then also, too, I just use employment as an example. Even business owners, every time you turn around, you're signing these obligation agreements, right? Like, every time you sign these legal documents, that's an obligation. So, sorry, I'm watching DOA. I've got it. I've got the sound turned down. They really attacked him. Little vatos. Scientology is so pathetic. Anyways, so as far as obligation goes, every time, in fact, as far as that goes, it's all over the internet. You know, you've got to click, these little boxes all the time. That's an obligation. But I'm trying to think of some more examples. Well, I'm just going to go back to high school because that's like really easy. But a lot of us had friends like that they wanted us to drive them all over the place because they didn't have a car or whatever. But it's always like whatever is going on, it's turned around. You need to do something for them. And the more scary manipulators make it sound nice as pie. They got such a sweet voice, and I hurt my ankle. Can you please take me to the doctor? Like they make it, it's like that, they make you feel sorry for them. So when you feel sorry for them, that goes with the obligation. They want you to feel like you're the only one that can help them out. Anyways, obligation. Okay, so I'm definitely going to be doing more on this. Guilt. I've heard Dr. Ramani and some of these other narcissistic teachers talk about mothers that are more narcissistic. I didn't have that, thankfully. But like a narcissistic mother that will make their adult child always feel guilty because they didn't stop to see them or they didn't call them like every 10 minutes every day. Always making you feel like you didn't do something. Down the road, I might do one on food and guilt, because that definitely goes. Definitely there. Oh my God, that's a whole story right there. But anything to make you feel that you ain't shit, right? Like to make you feel like you're not any good. You're lesser than. Like if you didn't do this, you don't meet the standard. I mean, really, when we think about that, school systems are set up like that, right? If they don't do well on a test, they're lesser than. Make you feel, in fact, I think a lot of parents do that to their children, which is tragic, to make them feel guilty about not getting a good grade or something. Sports. Parents do that a lot with children in their sports, making them feel guilty. Or when it comes to parentification, where the adult narcissist doesn't want to take responsibility like an adult and makes their child do all the things that the parents should be doing, they use guilt a lot. What else? Well, last 3 years, if you don't do this, you're a loser, you're a scumbag, right? They did that to a lot of people. They didn't do it to me. But yeah, workplaces are really good for that. I would also say using guilt. Have you guys ever been involved in like a group of people, like just in general? Like maybe in college, at school, work. You might not be like real good friends, but you're in a group of people. Like, so you're not just your individual self. When you come in, you're on a team or whatever. And the group will guilt you. Like if you don't want to do something, they'll try to make you feel bad about it. That's toxic. That's manipulative. So definitely had a lot of family members try to guilt me into stuff. It took me a long time to figure out what was going on. I don't fall for it anymore. Do you guys ever hear that song by Godsmack? You guys obviously know I like music a lot. But I Stand Alone. No, I'm not I Stand Alone. Yeah, no, was that the one I was thinking of? Yeah. That's kind of me a lot. I'm looking for my peoples. But so, guilt. I always have to make you feel bad. That you're not good enough. That you didn't eat the right way, or you didn't wear the right clothes, or you don't have the right hairstyle. For women, we get that stuff a lot. But like a toxic or manipulative narcissistic person they want to push that guilt really hard, because when you feel guilty about like that you didn't do something right, that you didn't do something for them, like you missed the boat, it keeps you on edge. One, it makes you easier to control, but two, it makes you feel like you're not a good person, or you're not as good as they are, because they're the best. I do think guilting happens a lot in workplaces, especially when you're at a workplace where they're really pressuring you to go in, work on the weekend, or, man, that's some crap. And then I would think that goes more into group mentality, where, let's just say, I use my last workplace as an example, and me and my friend and coworker used to talk about it. All this pressure to work on the weekend, and we were salaried, but yet you dare go against it, you don't show up or something, they're gonna like tell you, oh yeah, we missed you on Monday. Like on Monday, they're gonna be like, yeah, we missed you, you weren't there. Yeah, because I have a life. Maybe I want to get some sleep or do some laundry, so I can work my ass off 12 days or 12 hours a day, You guys understand what it is. Sorry I keep saying I'm just thinking. Other examples I can think of. Oh, when I was younger, I think a lot of you guys have been through that. I used to get either friends or relatives guilt the crap out of me if I didn't want to go out and party. Like, not get ripped up, but go party, go to the club, go dancing. Eventually, I started standing up against that, but back then I didn't understand as much of what, like manipulation or narcissism was. But it's always guilting you, and it could take it to the next level, guilting you into doing something you don't want to do. And then you wind up doing what you didn't want to do, and then you feel bad about it. It's like no way to win. So, in any of these situations, I would tell you that your gut will tell you what's going on. Your gut will tell you that something's not right. Honestly, you guys, if you guys can remember fear, obligation, and guilt, it will help you. It's like, okay, the whole helping is obligation. People that need to be rescued all the time, that's obligation. So, like, if you use common sense, you really have to remove yourself from the situation so that you can think clearly, especially if you're surrounded by a lot of people that are like manipulating you. So, even if you have to go out, take a walk in the park, go to the library, go to a friend's house that's not a toxic person, get away from this manipulative environment, because honestly, you won't be able to think straight when you're in it. I can guarantee it. And you You can be extremely smart, you can be very intelligent, and you can still get manipulated, because the people that do this are really good at it. They are really good at it. So anytime someone's constantly asking you for help all the time, you should be careful of that. I had a former friend. She was actually she was a nice person. This is a long time ago. But always asking me for money. And I just got tired of it. So I'm not friends with her anymore. I don't wish her any ill will. And I don't even think she was a narcissist. But, sometimes you can help people because you care. But when it becomes constant all the time, and you're getting worn out and abused because you're always helping this other person because they're playing this game that they don't know how to do anything and they just don't know how to do it, and they don't have any friends, nobody loves them, or whatever it is, which is the guilt. So the guilt and the obligation will just go hand in hand. I can assure you guys, you won't even know what's going on until you kind of remove yourself from it. Because it doesn't, when people broach you with these things, it doesn't even feel like that's what it is, It just seems like a friend asking you for a favor, or your dad wants you to mow the lawn, or I can't help but think of the song, one of the Tupac songs where Tupac goes, "My mama didn't raise no fool." So anyways, you guys, that was the very beginning of the fog. I'll definitely be doing more of these. And I don't know, one day I may go on camera more. I got to get some lighting, and eventually I've got to get a better computer. But I really don't want to be a YouTube personality. No offense to anyone. I don't want that. I don't. I value some kind of privacy. So anyways, you guys, you have a nice night or good day wherever you are. Peace.